Casual Nerdity is a podcast celebrating and discussing the pop culture that we love. Movies, TVs, comics, books, games, you name it. Our aim is to talk about the good, what worked, and yeah, sometimes what didn't. All with an eye towards building up, not tearing down. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome back to Casual Nerdity, everybody. I hope you are all doing well. I'm Daryl, and with me, as usual, I have Nick. Hi, Nick.
Hi, Daryl.
And we have frequent guest collaborator. We really just need to make you a regular co-host, Betsy. But we have Betsy back.
Hello! Hey, when we start What Just Happened, I will be a regular.
Yes, this is true. This is true. And if Brev has his way and we start the sub-series of We've Got Issues.
Yes, we just need to find time for that.
Yes. Because I like that idea. I even, you know how we have a separate little thumbnail for the Clone Watch sub-series episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I came up with one for We Got Issues.
Amazing.
Well, time is relative, so you guys could carve out some time.
You say that like that's an easy thing to do, but there's this thing called life.
Tell that to our employers, the ones who pay our paychecks.
Mm-hmm.
Betsy, I have yet to find that thing called a life. So when I find it, I'll let you know.
Well, I mean, our life basically consists of you have to do the work thing for 8-ish hours. I mean, for me, it usually ends up being closer to 9 hours, I'll be honest. Plus,
and
all the other outside commitments, of which there are many.
Yep. Many. Way too many.
I had to spend yesterday car shopping. I never want to do that again. I have a car, but I never want to do that again.
Car shopping is off. Oh, you'll have to tell us about the new wheels after we get off air.
The new Betsy Mobile.
Mm-hmm. Means I have to give the nice car back to the rich people I used to babysit for.
Oh, man,
have you picked out a name for your car yet?
I don't know. I've had it for less than 24 hours.
So, I should have pulled. I wish I'd pulled the audio for this before we get into this topic.
Mm-hmm.
I know that both of you will appreciate this. I saw a clip last night from Kat Dennings on a talk show.
Mm-hmm.
And she talked about how she went with her husband and her stepkids and took them to Disney. And they started walking through Avengers Campus at Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
And all these people start waving and smiling at her, and she's like, the people are just so friendly. They're having the best day of their lives because they're at Disney. And her husband was like, babe. And she looked down. She was wearing a flannel shirt. she was wearing glasses, and she was wearing a beanie hat. She's like,
yep.
I forgot I was in these movies.
Yeah.
Like, I'm dressed like Darcy. People think that I'm one of the Disney employee, one of the character actors.
Hey, that's illegal.
See Lewis.
Oh no! She's breaking the Disney bond.
It makes me think of when people remind Anna Kendrick that she was in the Twilight movies.
But
she was in those.
Exactly, she was in the Twilight movies, and she forgets that she was in the Twilight movies.
I mean, if you were in the Twilight movies, wouldn't you want to forget you were in the Twilight movies?
I don't know, it sounds like the cast had a good time being trapped in those movies together.
I mean,
but also I'd imagine they had to be doing
makes fun of them.
They all make fun of them.
Yeah, but also I have to imagine they were also doing, they were young, they were in Hollywood. They had to be doing all kinds of drugs. They were all forgetting what they were doing.
I think most of them were just laughing about how they were forcing Kristen Stewart to pretend to be straight.
Or
it didn't work.
She could act.
Whoa.
Hey, they had her back on that. They didn't make her kiss Robert Pattinson at the VMAs. They had her back.
Yeah.
And I salute them for that.
But what say we dive into our topic for this episode, shall we?
Yeah.
So, the Girl of Steel has arrived, and this time on Casual Nerdity, we're taking a look at Supergirl.
Okay, this does not look like this is gonna end well. For you guys.
Yeah, so whether the you guys means us or the people that have to listen to us yammer on and on about Supergirl, but inspired by the acclaimed Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow comics miniseries, we're going to share our thoughts on the film, the performances, the action, and how Kara's latest adventure ties into the new DC universe. We'll start spoiler free before giving you plenty of warning before we dive into the details. So look to the skies and join us as we talk all things Supergirl here on Casual Nerdity.
Woo!
So we're going to go ahead. We're going to dive straight into non spoiler talk.
You managed to get most of it on the paper this time. Good job, buddy.
I loved that moment from the first time I saw it in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Honestly,
fact that it's the first line of the movie.
it,
Also, as
it,
someone who has dogs, it's relatable.
and
Yes.
someone who's been around dogs, yes, relatable. It also just it is a great tone setter.
Yeah, very much so. So, uh, without going into spoilers yet, and just big overview here for me, I think that the beats that were changed in adapting the story from an 8 issue comic to a 2 hour movie pretty much made sense. The gist of the journey is there, but understandably, it can't go as in depth into the exploration of the characters and some of the events that they go through. Now, I wanted to get that out of the way from the beginning because I don't plan to spend the entire episode just saying, well, the comic did this, but the movie did that.
You mean you're
But
not going to talk about how the movie was missing all of Ruthie's narration?
I'm not going to talk about it much. It's going to come up in spoiler talk because there's a particular point that pretty much calls for one of the changes, and I've got some notes on that. But
I will say that this is a good point of acknowledging the idea that this is an adaptation, and even
well,
more
yeah,
of just it was inspired. It's not even called an
yeah,
adaptation of Woman of Tomorrow. It is a inspired by with heavy beats taken from, but it's not meant to be a one to one like even translation from comic to screen.
well, my very next note is just saying that I think it's worth mentioning that it did exactly what an adaptation is supposed to do. It kept the spirit of the story along with some of the major elements while playing into the strengths of the medium that the story's being adapted to.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like before this, like recording this, I went back and also like reread all of The Woman of Tomorrow, and I really don't think there was a better way that they could have condensed things down as far as like what was necessary and what was ultimately superfluous.
Especially for
Right.
its place as the second feature film installment of the new DCU.
Yeah, because the two stories are doing two different things.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing two different things, and the way that they go about them and just general structure, because when you have an 8 issue comics miniseries, you have 8 separate installments, and so you can structure that. That's more of, if we want to draw a media comparison, that's an HBO Max miniseries.
Mm-hmm.
And
You know,
even
Or
then,
like your
and
typical BBC series.
yeah,
right.
and even then, that would be condensed into likely instead of 8 episodes, likely into 6.
No, I mean, 8 to 10 is about what HBO Max does in general for their seasons. So they could do an episode per issue. I wouldn't want to see that
Yeah,
because that story from that comic doesn't fit in this movie universe.
Also, we don't need a direct adaptation because like we have the comic. If we were just going to do a one for one adaptation, why bother?
I mean,
exactly.
there's something to be said for some direct adaptations. The Sin City movies are a lot of fun.
They
That's
are,
true.
But again,
even then, mediums allow you to do different things, and I think there's something to be said for, as much as I'm the kind of person that will, in fact, sit there and go, that was wrong, that was wrong, that was wrong, that was wrong. At the end of the day, if like a movie or any sort of adaptation does the exact same thing the source material did, then there was no point in making an adaptation in the first place.
And there are
adaptation
even
has
times
its
where
place.
there are even times where you do a full-on one-to-one adaptation and you still somehow manage to deliver a story that is saying something 180 degrees opposite the source material.
Mm-hmm.
Either intentional
I,
or
I,
not
I don't
intentional.
know if you're good. I don't know if you ever watch men make adaptations, but you might get an idea of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You see what I did there? See what I did there?
I see what you did there.
But no, overall I really enjoyed the movie. We'll get the top level thing out of the way. Now, especially as we get into the spoiler side of things, there already has been some disingenuous bad faith internet discourse about this movie. And
Oh no, I don't have my wall of Funko Pops or a pickup truck to sit in with my sunglasses on.
well, and I know that our friends at the Movie Defenders, the part of the angle that they are taking, their episode on this movie is coming out the same week as ours. Their episode dropped, as our episode drops, it's going to be Wednesday. Theirs dropped on Monday for Supergirl.
Ooh, okay.
And I know that they were taking the approach, they were kind of going back to the roots of the show, because the internet discourse, there is a segment of the audience, and that's all we'll say, that
Mhm.
that is already trying to kind of spin a negative narrative about this movie. And the Movie Defenders were going to be taking an approach going back to the original spirit of their show, and they're going to be dealing with that head on in their discussion. So
Oh.
I am
Thanks for
looking
taking one for the
forward
team, guys.
I am looking forward to listening to their episode about it. As we go along, I'm sure we will probably start to mention some of those bad faith discourse elements as we're talking about those elements of the movie and what we
Yes.
did and didn't appreciate about it. But one of the things that I've noticed, and I saw somebody mention this online earlier today myself, and I kind of agree with this, in that they were saying that we've reached a point where every movie that comes out is either a masterpiece or a piece of garbage in bad faith people's eyes.
And if
It
it
is
is a
true.
piece of garbage, the reasons it's a piece of garbage are because, you had a female character or a character of color or a queer character. See Sarah Zed's video essay on sacrificial trash.
Even beyond that, there is still like those that are on more of a medium fence are prone to leaning into believing those things, because due to the nature of quote unquote blockbuster Hollywood films, it's either a smash success or a failure, and they will ascribe failure to those that seem to have like quote unquote abilities to like articulate why, which is often disingenuous.
But now we live in a day and age where anything that's a failure has to have a level of like morality attached to it.
Unfortunately,
It has to
You
have a
can't
level of
just be good or
morality.
bad.
nothing
It has
could
to have a
be
level
good
of
or bad.
morality, and it has to be someone's fault.
And
Someone
it has to have a
intentionally
place
did
in the
this.
quote unquote culture war, whatever that means.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm sure that we will discuss some elements of this. It's not going to be the focus of what we're
And it's
talking
also
about.
not really our bag. Just part of
Yeah,
our
Yeah, I
thing
was
is
gonna
like
say they're taking one for the team for us on this one because that's
we
gonna
we
be a whole thing.
we prefer to be, not to sound not to sound centrist or enlightened, but we do try to take the good and the bad. But in terms of like, there is a lot of discourse around the film, so we have to acknowledge it.
Also, as a certified Tumblrina, I've done my time in the trenches. If you know, you know.
I know.
But
I
so-
will say one thing I liked about this, though, is that, you know, in a sea of depressed alcoholic dads adopting depressed orphan daughters, we did get depressed alcoholic big sister supports depressed orphan little sister. You know, it's something different. It's like prose, it doesn't rhyme. I don't know, I thought I had an idea there.
I mean,
Wait, so
it was
you don't want me to use.
it wasn't Pedro Pascal adopting another child.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want me to use.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
It's the one time it doesn't work.
Yeah. Oh no!
Fair.
If George Lucas was in his grave, he'd be spinning now. That'd be a good trick.
So we've heard.
Yes. Now, speaking of our depressed alcoholic big sister, though, I think that Millie Alcock was great.
100%.
We haven't really had.
She is the
Go ahead,
second
Nick.
best Supergirl adaptation we've had in the past couple years. I say second best
Well,
because you can't beat My Adventures with Supergirl's Kara. That's so fun.
Melissa Benoist would like to enter the chat, please.
I was gonna say.
But you know,
I made my statement.
But we haven't really had many live action interpretations of Supergirl, and the direction that they're going for the DCU movie franchise gives her a lot to work with, because Melissa Benoist was awesome. Melissa Benoist basically started out as Superman, but it's Supergirl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the biggest complaint I've ever heard. But like, this is just gender flip Clark.
But we mentioned this the other day, that Kara doesn't really have much of a rogues gallery.
This is true.
When we were talking. And most of the rogues gallery that she has are some kind of flips on Superman's rogues gallery.
Or just straight up transplants.
Yeah.
Or she's just literally there helping him with his own rogues gallery.
Yeah. And just like I don't want to make this a comparison between the comic and the movie, it's also not a comparison between Supergirl actors. This isn't a Millie Alcock versus Melissa Benoist versus Laura Vandervoort versus Helen Slater.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
That's not what we're here to do. Yeah,
we are not here to do that. And
also, that's a boring discussion.
Yeah.
That would be that. Excellent. Yeah, that would be pretty boring.
Yeah, but Millie is making this character her own, because the closest I can think of to this version of the character from the comics isn't even really the Woman of Tomorrow version. Because she started off, the miniseries on a red sun planet to get drunk for her birthday, but that's kind of where the parallels end. The closest I can see from the comics is from Peter David's run, when it wasn't even Kara.
Yeah.
When it was Linda Danvers, and she was a damaged person.
I also
that
got
was
a little
bonded
bit...
with that version of Supergirl.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too.
And again, I know this might be controversial, but I got a little bit from her, like from the New 52 run, where she was sort of doing some, especially when she was encountering like the Red Lantern stuff. There were parts
oh yeah, I keep trying to forget that the New 52 existed.
Yes, we know, Daryl. We know.
But it's like I'll agree with
everybody.
I'll agree. Like honestly, this is one of the few times that I'd actually be like, yeah, I was actually. Oh, they took something positive from the New 52. It's like 5 things.
Miracles do exist.
So I was stand corrected on that point. I had just totally shoved that out of my mind.
Most of us do when it comes to the New 52. Let's be real.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
like
but
there were some moments that did stand out. It was like, oh, they took some of like characterization of like her repressed anger, and I think even like the scream moment was, I forget if that's in Woman of Tomorrow, but it
No,
was
it is a Woman
definitely,
of Tomorrow.
but
it is, but
Different.
she
it was
flies into a
homage.
sun and does it rather than space.
It
Mm-hmm.
was homaged in her when she was a Red Lantern in New 52. It was like that was cool.
Yeah, which I
But
will
yeah,
say
I
shows an
think
attention to
that
detail and a willingness to take from like a variety of different runs.
and that's something
Well,
that,
it,
granted, we're only a
it
few projects into the new DCU,
Mm-hmm.
but they're definitely doing that. They're pulling from different places. Like in Superman, you had a classic Superman, and you had one part of the Giffen de Mateus Justice League, but then you also brought in Justice Society a little bit with Mr. Terrific, and you brought in Super Friends with the Hall of Justice. So
like
Yeah.
they're
there's
they're
so many fun things that like it's definitely they're not afraid to like bring in different influences into this universe, and that helped make again like make Millie Alcock's Supergirl not an adaptation of one Supergirl. It's like an amalgam for this specific universe.
Yeah,
right.
like the sense I get is they're doing their homework, but they're not like shackling themselves to just one certain interpretation. They're willing to like pull from a whole bunch of different runs and different interpretations to make like the story that they want to tell instead of just completely staying married to one specific version. Which I think is nice to see because again, that's kind of what I was saying about like adaptations where if you're just doing beat for beat the exact same thing, what's the point? It's boring. It's already been done. This gives them an opportunity to do something different while still staying true to the source material.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think that she is
like
definitely more than up to the task of delivering a character to us who's consumed by grief, but also capable of really great heroism.
and
Yes, I have a lot of things to say about this later.
I could see this character evolving. Like this character could just be your classic Supergirl, or they could encounter a Red Lantern ring, and that'd be an interesting movie as well. There's a future
So,
here of a character that's very unique, drawing upon these different iterations and making them their
so
own.
interestingly, this movie had two characters who've been given Red Lantern rings.
Mm-hmm. It sure did.
Eh, now, I wanted to mention that this might border onto spoiler territory, but I don't think so. I don't think it really falls into spoiler territory to say that Superman was in the movie more than I expected.
Is this true? Honestly, despite not being in the trailer, uh, I expected David Cornsworth to be here, but I didn't expect it to be as much. But I also didn't
And
feel like it was. I didn't feel like it was aggressive or
he was used
risking.
appropriately.
Yes,
Yeah. Like, I know I'm jumping a little bit here, but, just without getting to spoilers, I want to say that they did a good job of having him present and in that way, like, demonstrably grounding this movie in the new DCU and showing that, it's all part of a connected thing. But at the same time, ensuring that his presence was minimal enough to ensure that, like, this is Kara's movie. This is about her. And his presence just incidental to telling her story because they're cousins.
Yeah, I mean it made sure that it was her movie, and I just want to repeat some of what we said a year ago that David Corenswet as Superman is great
oh, he's incredible.
because
Mm-hmm.
Superman is clearly concerned for his cousin's well-being, but there's also kind of an undercurrent of wanting her around for his own self too.
But
Wanting
also
that.
respect for her to be like her own person. But also he does want the in it. It's they both want the same thing. They both want a connection to.
I
He
have stuff to
wants
say about this later, but it's spoilers, so I will hold off.
Mhm.
he wants that piece of family, or maybe that tie to Krypton, even in the face of what he learned in his own movie.
Which was a good.
We'll talk about it in
Yeah.
spoilers.
Yeah,
We'll talk about that in spoilers.
we'll get there when we get there.
Yep, because I people have been talking about it online. I still think that that topic probably justifies falling behind the spoiler wall.
There's a specific thing I want to talk about too that is in fact spoilers.
And one last thing that I wanted to say, non-spoilery, is that Jason Momoa is as Lobo is a blast.
Yes. Yes.
You could
Yes.
tell he was having the time of his life with the role too.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's so much better suited for it than to Aquaman. I mean, did you hear the story about what he did when it was announced that Gunn and Safran were taking over? Without he texted Gunn and just said "fucking Lobo,"
Yeah, he knew what he was about, and he was right.
Because he's
and
the main man.
and to his credit, Gunn replied with "Let's talk."
Yeah,
So, I mean, that is a perfect piece of casting, and I am also fairly certain that Lobo will return in Avengers Doomsday. I mean, why not?
hey, I'd watch
Let's
it.
bring him in.
I'd watch it.
You know what I really let's see a live action rematch of Lobo and Wolverine from DC versus Marvel.
Exactly.
And
See,
you
you
can't
understand.
hide it behind a bar this time.
Yes. See, you understand what I'm
hide
talking
it
about.
behind a bar. Yes.
Let's do it.
Speaking of let's do it, are we ready to go into spoiler territory?
Yes.
I think so.
Let's go to spoiler territory.
He sees the good in everyone. And I see the truth.
Or
Spoilers.
Both are applicable.
yes. So, spoilers.
I don't know if
Let's
this
see,
counts
you
as
have the
spoilers,
first
but I just need to yell about how Crypto is a very good baby.
Yes, he is.
He's such a good baby, but we got to see him as a puppy.
Yes.
Upper.
We got to see their first meeting, and it was really adorable, even though, the context was that it was her mom's funeral. But it's fine.
Well,
But
it's a tiny little bit of life coming in a moment of death.
Mm-hmm.
and you
Contrast.
just
It's gothic, as it were, if anyone, had that section of English class where they talked about that.
Again, it's like
Sounds
poetry, so if they rhyme.
sometimes your mom has to die and you get a cute puppy.
Well,
Make
that
it sound
was
like it's a
dark.
trade.
Yeah.
Is it not? It's equivalent exchange.
Now, I know I said that we weren't going to lay out, well, the comic did this and the movie did that, but it kind of needs mentioning that one of the biggest changes in the translation is Krem of the Yellow Hills. Because in the book, he's pretty much just a psychopathic bastard.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just kind of he's less of a character than he is a goal for Supergirl and Ruthie to reach. He's less of an antagonist and more of an end point, if you will. And
he is an object that represents their end goal rather than an antagonist and character in and of himself. And he more stands in to make a tangible representation for what is ultimately the character growth of Ruthie and Kara.
Right. And needing to condense the story required conveying his depravity in a much quicker way, which they did.
And more overt and making sure that he is the antagonist.
Right. And they to make him the antagonist, they also had to beef him up to be a personal challenge for Supergirl.
Yeah, I will say I have some mixed feelings on the way that they basically use sex trafficking as a shortcut to show that depravity of his character. However, I will say
I
I
felt
was living for the moment when, like, immediately after getting free, the first thing that those girls did was steal a tank and blow up their sex traffickers. Like, 13 out of 10, excellent choice, absolute cinema.
I will agree as well that again, like I have no problem with more of the sort of quote unquote adult or realistic themes that was going on here. I did feel that that was an interesting choice to make that the quote unquote main antagonist goal, but also not make that the major like conflict.
Yeah.
Like, for me, I guess it's like, it's not that it was like something like overly mature or whatever. Like, I think it's something that could be in more media, including kids' media, because it
Yes.
very much is a thing that exists and happens and that does affect kids. Like, that I think there's something to be said for like awareness and understanding that, hey, this actually is a thing that exists in the world. And at the same time, I feel like maybe it could have been handled with like a little more nuance and
Yes.
understanding instead of just kind of again being like a shortcut to show like, hey, these guys are huge assholes that do some incredibly fucked up shit.
Yeah, that's what that's my opinion. It's like it was just a quick shorthand to make sure. Oh, you thought these guys were bad? They are bad.
Yeah,
It's like,
they engage in sex trafficking
but
with
nothing was
minors.
said. But
So
nothing
they're
was
also
said.
pedophiles, throwing that out there too.
But nothing was really said about like what this is, what it means, or in the greater scans. It was just a here's why the bad guy is bad.
Well, then I think it's
And
also that like the girls that were being trafficked like weren't characters. They were just kind of again like stand-ins. Kind of like Crumb himself was a stand-in in the comics. They were just, an object used to show, hey, these guys are bad.
now I did see someone, I don't remember who it was yesterday or today, who was saying that they preferred Krem in the comic because they liked the fact that Krem wasn't the leader of the bad guys. He originally worked for the king, and that's why he killed Ruthie's father. And he liked the idea of having that petty tyrant who's above him, who just sends people out to go, hey, make sure people aren't talking crap about me, and if they are, kill them. And I
And
was
then
like,
kill them anyway when they do defend me, apparently.
but there's what I responded to that with was, well, again, we're condensing everything down. We need to make a more direct line here
A
between
character
Krem and Ruthie, why that happened, and not have someone at the end of this story who, oh, his boss is still out there. We've defeated Krem, but his boss is still out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the same kind of thing that I've talked about at length with people over the years with The Last Jedi. There were
yes.
people who, when Snoke was killed, like, well, you just killed the big villain. I was like, well, no,
He
he's
was
not
never the
the
big
big
bad.
villain. He was never the big bad.
What movie
You're
were you watching?
The first two movies were leading us on a trajectory that the final climax was going to be Rey versus Kylo Ren. And if you resolve that climax, but his boss still exists, the climax is now anticlimactic.
Mm-hmm. Also makes me want to yell at those people like, hey, did you watch the original trilogy? Who was the villain? Because it wasn't Palpatine, it was Vader.
Yeah.
Palpatine just shows up at the end.
And so
But yes,
I understand why
yeah.
that's not there. And I think making Krem the architect of all of the bad things, as opposed to just being someone who works for one bad guy and then moves on to work with another group of bad guys, serves this medium better
For
than that direct
adaptation.
translation.
Yeah, like it helps just streamline the narrative, I think.
Yeah,
To
very much so.
to bring in a note from our frequent collaborator Lauren, uh, they bring up the fact that Supergirl spends a lot of this movie depowered, both to keep up tension, given that her abilities she would overcome pretty much any threat effortlessly, and perhaps as symbolism to her initial rejection to heroism at the start of the movie, which is something me and them discussed when we watched them right after the movie. I didn't see it as a problem. Again, I don't think they were saying this as a problem, but it's an observation that yes, Supergirl during the second half of the film is depowered multiple times. But
Well, not even just the second half. She starts off
yeah,
depowered.
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of it's meant to be sort of a contrast. The fact that she could she regularly goes to these red sun worlds to experience depoweredness and inebriation and other things. But when she needs her powers, she is also depowered because she's still rejecting sort of the call of heroism.
She's refusing the call, as it were.
Yes.
Yeah, I also, again, we're not litigating the online discourse, but I saw someone note that this movie has all 12 steps of Campbell's hero's journey.
It does. It really does.
It's
In
like
other
a
news, water is
textbook
wet.
case. Yes. It's like a textbook case. And they weren't saying it as a negative thing. They were
Yeah.
like,
Oh no,
you're not paying you bad faith people are not, well, you are arguing in bad faith. This is a textbook example of the hero's journey, but you're complaining that she's not acting like Supergirl from the beginning when that's the frickin' point.
If she were acting like Supergirl from the beginning, she would have nowhere to go.
And
There
again,
would be no movie.
I've
There would be
also
nowhere
heard
to
Right.
go because there's no growth that needs to happen. She's already there.
my one thing that is like again, I've encountered some bad faith arguments, and people have said that is this movie a surf Dracula situation? This is a newest term. It's like modern stories will be called surf Dracula, but Dracula will not pick up a surfboard until the end of the series, and it'll just be for a few seconds. I do not think that this is a surf Dracula situation. She is Supergirl. She's just becoming a hero in top of it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, it's a small thing, and I'm sure a lot of people didn't notice it, but going back to the clip that we used to indicate non-spoiler talk, did you look closely at that newspaper that Crypto peed on?
Yes.
So there is a huge banner headline about Superman averting a nuclear disaster. The article and the pictures and the headline cover all 6 columns of the paper.
Mm-hmm.
Supergirl has a 2-column story about rescuing cats from a sewer.
Yep. She has her own little tiny column
And,
off on the side.
and she does not look pleased about it.
Because that's all she gets, apparently.
Yeah, and
Is that she probably wasn't also there helping with the nuclear disaster.
well, and at least she's above the fold. But
Yeah, probably for the first time.
well, you have to wonder, how much did Clark push to get that story above the fold?
Oh, he probably did. He probably mandated it. It was like, nah, we're gonna put this right here.
Yeah. So, we see that we get a clue from context there that he's been trying to help her integrate into Earth and to be a hero, and might even be lobbing softballs like this her way. Go save these kittens. It'll play really well, and people will like you because it's kittens.
Honestly, I suspected he interviewed her.
Probably. I don't know that it showed the byline.
That or he had Lois do it as a personal favor,
Yeah.
but like gave her cute like note cards with all the questions she was allowed to ask.
He told her like, don't be you. Don't be nice to my
Don't
cousin.
interview her like you interviewed me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Don't be a real reporter.
He's playing Kara like, don't be you, be me.
Yeah.
He's trying to make her kind of be like him, and that's not working because that's not who she is. She's her own person.
Right. So she does have that journey to make. He's given her the costume. He's given her the name. He's trying to put her in the mold of a superhero like him, and she doesn't. She starts off the movie saying, like, well, my planet's dead. Everybody I've known is dead. The only person I have left is my cousin here, so sure.
My cousin whose shadow I'm more or less being forced to live in.
And also,
Right.
it didn't even as they are cousins, but they couldn't be more alien to each other.
It is, given that we're talking about the cousins and we don't have it in the notes here, at least not that I've seen, is this a good time to go ahead and talk about that Jor-El and Lara shaped elephant in the room?
Yeah, we might as well.
So there was a whole big people again exposing their lack or refusal of media literacy with the first Superman movie, continued to cling to, well, the last half of that recording was a lie. Lex doctored it because Jor-El wouldn't want Kal-El to be a conqueror. We have a line that addresses it right here. I mean, in
We sure
Superman,
do.
in Superman, Lex himself says, I didn't have to change anything.
We had multiple lines expressing that he did not change anything.
Yeah, and he tells his partner in crime,
Who
like, oh,
accuses
who
him of
says,
saying like, "Oh, the changing doctoring that footage was great." It's like I didn't do anything.
It's like, joke's on you. I didn't change
yeah,
shit.
and so we have a line in this movie where Zor-El and Allura see Kal-El's ship take off shortly before Krypton explodes, and is that it? Well, yeah, that's Kal-El. Oh, that sweet baby boy that your brother wants to be a conqueror.
Mm-hmm.
And so, no, Krypton isn't full of bloodthirsty conquerors, just Jor-El's an ass.
And who said they even have to be bloodthirsty?
Yeah.
Again, like
conquering doesn't necessarily have to look like that. They were just expecting him to show up on Earth bigger and stronger and better than everyone else and just become the de facto leader for that purpose.
And
right.
And again, yes, it sounds terrible to discussion, but it also would make sense from someone who is approaching it from a weirdly scientific perspective. It's like you'll be stronger. You can do the most good there, and you can help recreate Krypton on this world.
I mean, from their point of view, they're basically dropping him in on a planet full of Neanderthals.
Yeah.
Right.
He's supposed to lead them into the shining future, just like, what Krypton has achieved. These poor, primitive, backwater citizens.
Again,
that's not how that works. They already have their own society going.
From a perspective of conquest, he was expecting a benevolent dictatorship.
Mm-hmm. Where they would just hand him the keys to the city and everything else because he's just so super special and awesome.
Right. So
again, for a guy that again, the characterization is Jor-El is a brilliant scientist and he wants the best for his child, and he's sending him to a world where he can do the most good, be safe, and also reconstruct Krypton.
But this Jor-El is not a people person.
No, he's more scientist than people person.
Mm-hmm. He's saying what he thinks is just sheer pragmatism and not complete ignorance of how any civilizations work.
would view this message and idea.
And I definitely want to give credit for casting worldwide heartthrob Bradley Cooper as Jor-El for that purpose.
Again,
So that
again, I feel that people misunderstand Jor-El's perspective, but they're also not incorrect that it is not the right message to send, but it's also not the message he was intending to send.
Like, we're not saying it's not fucked up, we're just also saying that from his perspective, there was no malicious intent.
Yeah,
Doesn't make it right, but that is
Doesn't
where
make
he
it-
was coming from.
doesn't
just
make it
adds
right.
context.
Doesn't make it
well,
right.
and there is precedent. Again, we've talked about picking and choosing elements of, at this point, close to a century
Oh,
worth
yeah.
of comics, that there's precedent for a not entirely super benevolent Krypton. John Byrne's Man of Steel was very eugenics driven.
I was gonna say, there's a couple versions where we have not super benevolent Krypton, and sometimes even not super benevolent Superman himself.
Mentioned My Adventures with Superman has a similar sort of conquesting vibe.
Yeah. But we're not relitigating Superman. We're talking Supergirl.
Mm-hmm.
But
I
it is
think it was
something
cool that they like referenced that from the get-go. Like, yeah, no,
Yes.
this is a thing that happened. This is literally what this dude said verbatim.
Well,
and also not basically that's not cowing to again individuals who have been very vocal, but clearly didn't watch the movie. They didn't.
well,
Like no, this is still the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
well, and for a year now, people have been saying, well, why didn't Supergirl tell him that, hey, your parents were, wanting you to take over the world?
The parents
Well,
that she never met.
the parents that she never met and would have no reason to think that they were like that.
Mm-hmm. Because that's not
Because
the parents that she had. That's not how they raised her. Again, it speaks
that's
to nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
Just like the Kents raised Clark to not be that kind of guy, her parents raised her to not be that kind of girl.
yeah. I mean, there's a refrain in the movie that as her mother was dying, she told her, to be good.
That was one of my
That
favorite
doesn't
things. To be good.
Yep.
You don't have to be nice. You don't have to be weak. Just be good. Words
Yeah.
to live by.
Which I feel like
and
makes
by the way,
Kara is a very nuanced like spoilers, like Kara is a very nuanced character, and that she is good, but she isn't blameless. She isn't Superman.
And by the way, I think that message that her mother gave her was both very Stephanie and Betsy coded.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was. It made me very happy.
And I also think that that one of the characters in the trailer for Forgotten Island that we saw was very Betsy and Stephanie coded.
Oh
Why are you calling me out like this?
Oh, we are on a call, so I guess we kind of have to call you.
Still.
Yeah, I was just like, hey. Since I was sitting next to you at the movie, Betsy,
Yeah.
I wanted to point and go. They put you in a cartoon.
Oh, you didn't even have to.
It was you.
I saw it. I saw it.
That's you, right there.
I've been called out once again.
Oh, but no, that there was a great deal of, we did see that nature versus nurture in both of them, and we also saw how Clark, despite all of the good, I don't want to discount all of the good that the Kents did in raising him. That was part of the point of that entire movie. But Clark or let's say Kal-El,
Mm-hmm.
with parents who were like, conquer, take over the world, lead them.
Take their women.
Grew up to be so good and so selfless. And Kara, who grew up with positive parents and that message of be good, because of everything else that she went through, was kind of a mess to have and had to overcome all of that to honor that.
Oh yeah, I have a whole paragraph where I talk about that because you guys know how I feel about my bad survivors in media.
No, no.
I'm shocked. I am shocked.
Just things
Now,
I like getting to see. We need our representation too.
now, getting into slight nitpick territory here, and following up on what Lauren said about Supergirl being depowered through so much of the movie. There was one element of the story that I knew, because it was so important to the comic, that it was going to be here. It was going to be adapted in some way, shape, or form. But I
Mm-hmm.
knew it was going to be a direct adaptation. And that is the planet with the green sun. And in the comic, given that it's dealing with a different continuity and a different presentation of Supergirl and Superman, its reasoning for existing the way it does makes perfect sense. And for those who haven't read the comic, it is it's basically a trap, a prison for Superman. It has been constructed, it has all of these space dinosaurs on it,
Mm-hmm. And there's
and
like this lake at the bottom, but you have to get through all the dinosaurs to get there, so they'll probably eat you anyway.
and the green sun is engineered to give off kryptonite radiation.
It's a special
Whereas,
green sun.
yeah, whereas in this one, there I don't want to be one of those people that says spell out everything in a movie for me. But maybe it was because I had just read the comic so recently before seeing it that it was harder for me to just go with it
I,
for
I'll
this.
I'll be I
But
agree with
I
you
would
on this, and there's also the fact that like there is no such thing in sort of actual actual
cosmology
like
as a green sun.
cosmology. There's no such thing as a green sun.
Yeah,
So
I
it
also
is.
think it
So
might have added to the stakes if, like, we alluded, first of all, that, both Clark and Kara have existed in this universe for a good minute because someone would have actually put in the time to construct this,
well,
green kryptonite
I
sun.
mean,
But also that the bandits
that's
either, like,
yeah
or the brigands rather, went out of their way to either find this place or, hell, maybe even helped build it. I think that
yeah.
could have been
and
some
see
interesting, like, world building in the background.
I that's where I say I knew that they would have to change it up for this continuity,
Mm-hmm.
because Superman made it clear that he'd only been around for 3 years at that time. So if we're assuming another year has passed since it's a year in the real world, he's been around for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no suggestion that he has gone on any spacefaring missions.
Yeah, like there's nothing that we know of that says that, but there's also nothing that says that hasn't happened. So it's kind of a
I,
gray area.
it's a gray area, but just the way that the character himself is presented, it doesn't seem like he would, at
Unless it
least
was
at
like,
this point
there's
in
some
his
kind of
career.
crisis going on.
Right. Now, given that Kara goes off, but primarily to Red Suns to get drunk, maybe. But they seemed surprised, Krem seemed surprised that he had a Kryptonian to test his arrows on.
Mhm.
That and that, like, if that's the case, then why would he even know to go to a planet with a green sun anyway? Because she framed it as
Right.
like, they know this is going to make me weak and, like, it's toxic to me. Why would they know that? Or why would they have
But
known to go there, especially since this appears to have been like a long standing base of operations for them?
Again,
yeah. So
I
I would have
propose
liked something there.
I
I
propose
would
an
have liked
idea
something.
like a line about like since like kryptonite shows up on Earth because it got blasted out when Krypton exploded. It's like certain stars are sort of like hit with kryptonite and become these green stars. They could have even done
I
it in that little text blur. They said like this planet has a yellow and a green star with a little asterisk saying like kryptonite infused star. That would have been enough for me.
I think there's an even simpler way to do it. Although I'm going to sound like I'm getting nerdy into the weeds
Because
with
we
the
never do
science.
that here.
We
Right.
don't. After this, we're
But-
going to talk about like sports and stuff.
Go sports.
Sports, go
yeah.
sports. Athletics are number one. Participants are heroes. Go team, yeah.
Balls.
But so here's my take on it, or how I would have easily done it. When you have an actual binary star system, it doesn't work like what we see in the movie.
No, it
Yeah.
does not.
That's
It
not how that
doesn't
works
That
at
was
all.
bothering me.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. So
That's not how the Force works.
So my thought was, they mentioned in some of the flashbacks to Argo City that they've discovered that the explosion of Krypton revealed kryptonite crystals that were affecting the people of Argo City. So
Mhm.
this green sun isn't a sun. The same kind of thing that happened to Krypton happened to another planet in this system.
Or even a moon in the system.
And there's the explosion, and then as the matter and the gases coalesce again, they're basically radiating kryptonite.
Mm-hmm. And even going back to the Woman of Tomorrow comics, like the way they framed it in there is that it was as they had like traveled throughout the galaxy, the radiation of various different like stars they encountered had changed the makeup of the minerals that were like in the earth underneath Argon, and that was what created the kryptonite that was poisoning them. So there was even like scientifically something in there that would have explained it.
Oh,
So all you have to
fixes
do,
the issue of like where did he get the kryptonite arrows? He plucked it off of the moon. Like
so you then say, okay, yeah, it has formed a second mini sun in the
Mhm.
system, but you can work that in to staging the flashbacks when she said, when they get onto the planet, she's like, it's a green sun, it's radiating kryptonite. It's exactly what happened to Krypton after it exploded.
Yeah, actually, it would have given it better context too.
Yeah.
And it would explain where they got the kryptonite from as well, because if it's like a moon or a nearby planet, it's pretty likely that there would have been bolide impacts, which would have contained kryptonite, ergo.
Yeah. So it's a nerdy thing. It did not kill the movie for me, but I would have liked something to explain it. They've obviously figured out that she's a Kryptonian of some kind, and
I mean, she could have been a Daxamite.
well, they haven't been established in this universe,
Yeah, we don't know if they
and
exist yet.
they haven't been established in this universe. And if it were, all they need is a regular bullet because lead.
Yep.
So actually,
There it is.
Are you pushing up your glasses?
yes.
I mean, that works
Actually,
because you guys actually have glasses. I do not.
I mean, you can always grab a pair if you need one.
My sunglasses are down in my car.
or we can get you some that just have glass or plastic with no prescription.
I mean, I have a pair. They're just like in a box somewhere with the rest of my cosplay stuff.
Or
Actually, a couple pairs.
Or they can be like the ones on The Big Bang Theory that Johnny Galecki wore as Leonard, that had no glass in them because they reflected the studio lights. But
Mhm.
without his glasses, Leonard was blind as a bat. So every
Yep.
time he took them off, but people were like, "There's no glass in them." Anyway,
Just gotta add it in post.
you think a sitcom's going to do that? A
Depends on what
multicam
kind of budget they
sitcom?
got.
All that budget was going to Parsons, Galecki, and Cuoco.
Yep.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Oh, and there are occasional special guests too.
Yes.
Yes.
Wheaton. Oh.
The Summer Glau episode.
But this seems like a good time to go into your notes on Clark, Betsy.
Yes, because one thing I liked was, I mean, most of how they had like Clark's appearances were either flashbacks or him like calling her while she was on different planets, like from her ship. And I just like that Clark just keeps calling Kara and telling her to come home because he misses her. And I like that it doesn't really come from a place of like, there's no like nagging or finger wagging or shaming because she's out partying. It's more like the sense that he's homesick, but like for a person instead of a place. Because for Clark, home is family. And like something that really hit me too is that when she came back and says like, "Yeah, I think I might stay for a while." You see him start visibly tearing up. And Kara
Mm-hmm.
also tries very hard not to get emotional and kind of fails, but whatever. Because like it's not only it's not only that part of his family is coming back, but also maybe like she's starting to let herself think of him as family too. And I'm not gonna lie, I always have been and always will be a slut for found family in all its forms.
Yep.
And
I
it was
mean,
just that was a really good emotional beat to me.
we have a huge found family, so
Mhm. And I think like it was a
yeah,
really good way of bringing Clark back in at the end while still making it her movie because it's her choice. She's the one that's deciding to stay. And as much as he's like ready to start crying, he's like, "Yay, my cousin's going to stay. My family is here." She's also kind of reaching this point where she's like, "Maybe it's okay if I let myself make a home somewhere." Because I
Mhm.
think a
And
huge part of why she didn't want to stay on Earth, not only was it, she's kind of in Clark's shadow, but it's also, I can see a lot of reluctance to establish a new home anywhere after the one that she'd known for the rest of her life basically exploded and everyone died. Like,
it
it's
makes
hard
her
to want to
suddenly
establish a new
try to
home
eat
when you
chocolate.
have this idea that it's not going to last because it's going to go the same way as the one before that did, and everything that you love and everyone that you know and love is just going to one day, like, up and die and leave.
I
And all
mean,
that will be left is ash. But
that's
now
just
she's
how
like allowing herself that bit of
life works sometimes.
vulnerability that it takes to be able to see somewhere as home and start to put down roots. Like she's trusting that maybe it'll be okay. Maybe it'll be worth it.
Yeah, I liked like we said in the non-spoiler bit, he was used appropriately and he had that tie and you touched on the kind of stuff that I was trying to go into without hitting on spoilers. So thank you. Uh,
Yeah, there was like not a good way to do that without getting into stuff.
yeah, exactly, exactly. But it was I was surprised, like I said before, how much he was in the movie, but he didn't overshadow her.
Not at
Hmm.
all.
It was
Yeah, and that a
not,
lot of him being present outside of like a screen was in flashbacks establishing like her finding her way on the planet.
His existence
and
was a compliment, not a overshadowing. Even though like he overshadows her in the initial ideals, but it's like in the actual story of the movie, he does not overshadow her.
He was her
well, and
welcoming committee and also the only one that actually like spoke English out of the two of them. So we kind of
Yeah,
also needed that a little bit.
yeah, one of the things too that I think it really worked because both of the characters in universe are relatively new.
Hmm.
He's only been around for that 4 years ish, and she came to Earth after that, after he was established already. So let's say what, 1 or 2
Yeah, I'd say
years?
probably a year or two into his
yeah,
tenure as Superman.
So I think that it works that neither of them has the galactic reputation from the comic
yeah,
because without that reputation in that allows this story to be hers as she's going on this journey out in space.
Hmm.
It's not I'm on this planet with a green sun that was created as a trap for my cousin. It's not people recognizing the S shield, various aliens recognizing the S shield because they have a reputation out in the galaxy.
Yeah, she's able to exist as her own character instead of a piece of this other existing, better known character. She feels less like an
which
afterthought and more like her own person.
which it also might be worth mentioning here that throughout most of this, most of this, she's wearing a Blondie t-shirt, jeans, and a duster. She's not wearing the shield
Yeah.
Nope.
because that's not her. She doesn't. She hasn't accepted that as her. And in fact, if you look at her at the end of Superman, yeah, she's wearing the costume at the end of Superman, but she's got the duster on over it.
Yeah.
Which that's just, cueing in the nerds like us in the know. Hey, look, it's her Woman of Tomorrow look,
Look, yeah.
Mhm.
which she doesn't even wear for most of the comic. It's just an
Barely.
iconic look in the comic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, through most of the movie, she, even though she calls herself that, she's not Supergirl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She's just Kara.
Like she says to Ruthie when when they get to the green sun planet and Ruthie arrives and she's like, I got this out of your ship, and hands her the suit. And she's like, it's just a suit. It
Yeah. It
doesn't
doesn't
do
do anything.
anything. And yet, once the yellow sun comes up and she's invigorated and goes off to take on the brigands, she puts on the suit because, well, hell yes, it does do something. It says I'm Supergirl.
Yep.
She's accepting what it means to her instead of what was given to her by someone else.
Yes.
Exactly.
And I keep circling back to Superman, and I don't mean to, because we keep saying this is clearly Kara's movie, but I just love the flashback to when he gives her the suit. He's like, it may look kind of silly, but it's colorful because they have to know that we're good.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that the idea of being good is a major theme.
And I
Both in
loved that.
the imagery and in accent. Accents
Yeah,
of good and also being like, if you're, it's sort of in that way. If you're gonna, it's sort of like going back to like Captain America and the Winter Soldier. It's like, if you're going to fight a war, you gotta wear a uniform. It's like he, he want Clark wants her to wear a uniform that so that she's good.
Yep.
She's one of the good guys.
Yep. And so I understand that given the structure of it, there weren't many shots of her in the costume, particularly, what you want to call beauty shots of her in the costume. But I really wish that none of the trailers or anything had that first shot of her in the costume in front of the
That
sun.
No, I
that's
agree.
true. That was like, it still hit, but it would have hit harder if we didn't see that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I didn't notice, and we've only seen it the one time, so I don't know if either of you have noticed it. I did see in the credits, as we were waiting for an end credit scene that never came, that
Mm-hmm.
it said,
Which I'm still disappointed.
original Superman
what-
theme by John Williams.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Was that where it was?
I think that's where it was.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was, if I remember.
But it's,
I mean, it seems like the perfect place for it.
Yeah.
but speaking of that, like, I know that suppose like some people say like, oh, they're just primed to do that because of like that's how movies are. But like, I swear that felt like there was a scene needed to be at the end credits. Like something, it just felt like it, genuinely.
Well, it feels
I
like
didn't copy paste it from my other notes. I know what I wanted to see at the end.
we've been trained by Marvel, and other
This is
studios
true.
have picked it up. And when James Gunn was launching this and when Superman came out last year, I do appreciate what he said in that he doesn't want to use end credit scenes to promote future projects.
And that's
He
fair.
wants each of the movies to stand on their own. And if there's an idea for a fun little stinger, great, we'll go for it.
I
But
Can I
if
say
there's
what I
not
wanted
one,
to be the stinger? Can I say what I wanted to be the stinger?
Yes.
Go for it.
I wanted, because at the end when she tells Ruthie to come with her to like keep celebrating, like finish celebrating her birthday, I wanted the end thing to be the two of them at a karaoke bar singing Blondie.
Yes.
Since that needle drop was in the trailer but not in the movie.
Exactly! That's where I wanted it to come back!
That's good.
I wanted them to be at a karaoke bar in space singing Blondie.
That works. That works because apparently all of the bars in space have Earth music.
Exactly. Well,
Apparently.
that and she like plugged in her iPod, so I feel
But
like you could probably do that.
I'm talking about the bar where they met Lobo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that too.
And the live act was singing the girl from Ipanema.
And Cheek to Cheek.
Yeah,
Yes.
Cheek to Cheek too, yeah.
Those were some beautiful needle drops. Honestly, they understood the assignment.
Now, let's go on and get into the ending of the movie. And there's already, we've mentioned online discourse a few times. There's already online discourse about the ending. So let's take a look at some of the points that people are hitting and dig into them. Once we've got all of the points out here, there's only like 3 that I made a note of. So first of all, there's some bad faith comparisons of Man of Steel to Supergirl, and comparing Superman killing Zod to her killing Krem.
Nope, not even close.
And the bad faith arguments of, well, everybody that likes the Gunverse and hated the Snyderverse hated that Superman killed Zod, but nobody's complaining about Supergirl killing Krem.
Yeah, I have something I can say to that. Supergirl is not Superman. The end. The end. That's all you need to say. That's it.
Honestly,
that's the entire point.
That's the thesis point of this entire movie.
They are different people, different characters with different ethos.
And then there's also discourse about the change from the ending in the comic, where Krem spends centuries in the Phantom Zone. He's released by Supergirl with an elderly Ruthie who knocks him down in silhouette with her cane, but the way it's done, his fate is ambiguous. Did she kill him? Did she just, knock him down, or what? And her narration, which we touched on her narration in the comic. The comic is entirely narrated by Ruthie.
It's basically her book that she published about the events.
And it's an entirely an unreliable narration.
She admits that she's an unreliable narrator too.
Yes, she admits she's an unreliable narrator because in her narration she says, "Oh well, in my book I said that Supergirl killed Krem so that the brigands wouldn't come after me." And so there are people who are complaining about that change from the ambiguous ending to, look, Krem's dead. Well, that's kind of par for the course for modern superhero movies. Even superheroes that traditionally don't kill, 9 times out of 10, they're leaving the villain's body at the end of the movie.
And but honestly, was anyone expecting Krem of the Yellow Hills to return in Avengers Doomsday?
No, we're not even playing the cue because nobody expected that. Because the character has appeared in this is the second story he's ever appeared in.
And the first time with all the dermals. That was a lot of dermals.
Yep, but it's like this isn't a iconic oh man, I wish this character would come back in X, Y, and Z story to fight again. It's like
the majority of people seeing the movie are like, "Who are you?"
Although, can I mentioned this to Nick Sunday when we were over there for a game, but can I mention that I liked I don't know if it was the actor, if it was the writing, if it was the directing, or a combination of all of the above, but I liked the little character tick that carried throughout the movie, that he takes other people's food.
Yeah, he was hungry. He was a hungry boy.
He took the pie in Ruthie's house at the beginning.
And the milk.
The milk. he took her. He took Ruthie's worm and gruel
He took
Yeah.
in her cell.
Kara's cereal bowl out of the sink.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he took her cereal bowl out of the sink and ate her cereal. So I like that character tick. I don't know who came up with it, but props to them because it's a.
Oh, yeah.
I
It's a
hesitate
memorable.
to call it interesting. I stopped just short of interesting,
It's
but
a
it
memorable.
makes.
I like the performance. I like the character development. It's just like I did not like. At no point I was like, well, either he dies here or he doesn't.
I think it's also a good shorthand to demonstrate as a character, like his sense of entitlement and his idea that, everything should be his if he can take it because
Mhm.
might makes right, and that, no one can say shit to him about what he wants to take.
It's a way
Yep.
of asserting dominance in a scene.
Yep.
And just, the kind of person that he is, he's like, I don't give a shit. This was out here. I'm going to take it. I don't care if it's anyone else's. It's mine now because I said so.
Yep.
The end.
And then the final point that I've seen discussed online is debating the ending, undercutting the story's themes and undercutting Kara's speech to Ruthie immediately before that about how killing Krem wouldn't be satisfying to her and it wouldn't, it would haunt her forever.
I got a wall of
And
text about that.
you do,
I sure
and your
do.
wall of text is right in line with my thoughts on it. So go.
Okay. So here's kind of how I interpreted that. And, sorry if this is long winded, which because it's me, it probably will be, but what else did you expect? So when Kara was first laying that out, like Ruthie's response to Kara saying, like, don't do the murder thing was, so what? I don't kill him and I end up like you? As if, vengeful murder and depressed chemical dependency are two distinct separate roads to choose between. But no, like what I saw is that Kara, like stopping Operation Bloody Retribution was literally just all about making sure Ruthie wouldn't end up exactly like her. Like, yeah, murder is bad and whatever, but Kara, like, wasn't trying to keep Ruthie from committing some heinous sin or going dark side or whatever, because, like, I feel like that's not really what was at stake here. What Kara was ultimately wanting was to prevent Ruthie from letting her grief eat away at her as she fell, like, deeper and deeper into this spiral of self-destruction until one day that grief just swallowed her whole, which is the place that Kara believes she herself already is. And I think that in turn is why Kara kills Krem at the end, because, like, in her mind, she's past saving. Ruthie is not. Like, the grief spiral took her so long ago, and it's too late to do anything about it now. But if she can't save herself, she can at least save someone else from making those same mistakes. And that was her motivation. Like, as much
Yep.
as, there's the morality to don't kill people because killing is bad, the ultimate thing was about not giving in to, like, that horrible cycle of grief and self-destruction. Because that is what destroys people. Not just, having to live with the fact that you killed someone, but what that represents on a larger scale and what it's connected to, what it's a symptom of.
I see.
Yep.
And like Kara herself, as far as she was concerned in that moment, she was too far gone. There was no point in saving her. It wouldn't make a difference if she killed him or not. She was already swallowed up by that grief a long time ago. And part of her journey from here, I think, is going to be learning that no, there is still a lot left of her that she can salvage, because no matter how much that grief has eaten away at her, it hasn't swallowed her entirely. Not yet. Not if she doesn't let it.
That's
Yep.
very interesting.
I agree with everything there.
But you know who doesn't have a nuance point, but is also right? Lobo.
Yeah, nuance and Lobo have never been used in the same sentence.
Lobo knows exactly what he's about.
And he
Yeah.
is at the Loboist in this movie.
And he was not New 52 Lobo.
No, he was not.
No, he was not the. We would not talk about New 52 Lobo in this house.
Hey, Comic Drake talked about New 52 Lobo just in the past week.
And hey, you were the one that brought up New 52 earlier, Nick.
Yep.
I brought up the good part of it, not.
I'm just saying, you only have yourself to blame. You're the one that invoked New 52 already.
That's right.
Daryl, it's so early to end the episode. We have one more Betsy Wall of text before before he ended. He's
Hey, I'm
already
not picking
bullying
on
me.
you. I'm just stating a fact.
Yeah, we're not
That was a
picking on
factual
you.
statement. Let the record
Nick-
show you were the first one to bring up the new 52.
Yep,
We have it recorded.
It is true.
we do. We do. And everyone who is hearing it right now is listening to said recording.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, something about.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
There it is.
But go on, Betsy. I know you have a little more here about Kara.
Oh, you mean my last thing? That's the thing I always talk about whenever I get the chance?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I just love that Kara is allowed to be one of my favorite things in media, which is a bad survivor. Like, seriously, I will never get tired of seeing bad survivors in media because we deserve representation too. Like, not everyone's trauma makes them kinder, stronger, whatever, like, platitudinous, beautiful, wonderful, flowery thing. Sometimes trauma fucks you up in ways that can't be wrapped up in a neat little bow. And that's Kara. She's messy and irrelevant, and she's struggling to process her grief, and her trauma has left her, like, angry and jaded and hurt. And honestly, I, for one, love that for her. Because it feels raw and honest in a way that so many narratives just don't. And I especially love it here where we get, like, this juxtaposition of one of the most powerful people in the known universe who, on the inside, is, like, just struggling to hold herself together. And I also like that by the end, she's not better because, trauma isn't something that you ever just, like, get over. You don't fix it. You just learn to live with it. And at the end of the movie, I feel like we see the beginning and how she's learning to do that. She's learning to live with what she's experienced and how to keep going. And that's always an ongoing process. And it's never a process that really looks like, neat and tidy and perfect. It's usually a really messy disaster. But it just feels honest in a way to me that I think resonates, like, with my personal experiences and experiences I've heard from other people. And it's just a story that I think really needs to continuously be told.
And given where we leave her at the end of this movie, I am really interested in seeing where she's at next year in Man of Tomorrow.
No, definitely.
Is she being the superhero, or um, there's all sorts of rumors floating around about what Man of Tomorrow might be, quote unquote, based on, if it's based on an existing comic story.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ones that's floating around out there is Panic in the Sky from
Mm-hmm.
the early 90s.
That's
And
not
granted,
a bad choice.
it was a different Supergirl then. That was the Matrix Supergirl. But Matrix was, Supergirl was working with, originally at least, the invaders who were coming in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, is she susceptible to being kind of not manipulated, but, kind of sold on their point of view? She's off world doing something else because these two movies established that she probably has more of an off world presence than Clark does.
Mm-hmm. Even if it's not necessarily as Supergirl.
So, do they sell her on this? The other thing that's interesting is that could be interesting if we're pulling from various inspirations is we know that Lex is back because
Yeah, he's
that's
got
the
the
idea
suit.
that it hinges on. And he has the green and purple battle suit. Woo!
Mm-hmm.
It looks.
But
If you see the behind, if you look online, it looks awesome.
No, it really does.
but around that same time in the comics, after Supergirl came back to Earth, she got involved with, you know, it was Lex in a cloned body passing himself off as his son, but she was involved with Lex for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, there's some potential. And just for the record, we are not the kind of theory crafters that get so hooked on our little fan theories that if they don't come through, the movie sucks. But they're just interesting ideas that they could pick up and go with if they
And I
choose
think
to
all
go
of
that
them would
way.
make narrative sense. Like even something that looks like regression technically isn't regression because, again, going back to like recovery and processing trauma, it's not linear. So it could very well, again, make sense that there's a point where things start going downhill and then she has to like figure some stuff out again.
Yeah.
All of it would make sense narratively. And I think that's cool.
Yeah.
I
So
want Crypto to hang out with Dexstar.
that could be world ending. The crisis of the super pets.
Oh no. Oh no.
That would just that would be unbridled chaos.
I would
Dogs and
watch that
cats
movie.
living together, mass
Mass
hysteria.
hysteria.
With lantern rings.
But as always, I'm not gonna say, movie's bad. But I enjoyed the movie. We all liked it.
I enjoyed it
But
too.
I thought it was fun.
I had a good
as
time.
always, I'm gonna say, see the movie for yourself. Decide if you like it or not. And even if you don't like it, that doesn't make it a piece of crap. It just means that it's not for you. I'm
It's
sorry.
okay to not like things.
Is that too much self-awareness and nuance for
That's too much
the
nuance.
current environment?
Yes.
Yeah, like honestly, it's okay to just not like things, guys. That's totally fine. You can just not like it because it's not for you, and that can be the end of it. You don't need any sort of other
Yep.
outside justification. You could just say, didn't like it. End of story.
But we know that it is, as of the time that we're recording this, which it hasn't even been out for a week, but it is still underperforming to Warner Brothers expectations. We know this. But I have a feeling that this is going to be like a lot of the genre movies that have been shit on in the past few years, particularly ones that have a certain commonality about the leads of the movies. That once it hits streaming, people are going to watch it and say like, "Why did people hate this?"
Also, when you actually look at the box office numbers and you compare it to like other comparable films, they'll say that this one was a flop, but ones that had lower numbers were somehow a success.
Yes,
Because that also seems to happen all the time.
Yep.
because we've seen that discourse happen with Eternals. We've seen it happen with the Marvels. We've seen it happen
I'm
with.
sensing a pattern.
Do we
Yeah,
want to
what
even
is the
invoke Captain
pattern?
Marvel?
I mean, Captain Marvel made $1 billion.
And yet, it just wasn't as good as all the other MCU movies.
I'm connecting a dot. I'm connecting the dots.
What cats?
Yeah, that's it. Cats.
Because Goose and all of the other Flurkins in the Marvels and no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, pets. Not
I was going to say, where was the cat in this one? But yeah.
There was a dog. So
yes, the common denominator is furry friends.
Yes.
Morbius also had bats. Yeah, bats were in there.
Sure, that counts.
But I have a feeling that the same pattern is going to follow, that once it hits streaming, people are going to start watching it. Like, people said I was supposed to hate this, but I liked it.
Or like, they said I was supposed to hate it, and it wasn't that bad. It was, pretty decent, and I had fun. I'm not saying it was like Citizen Kane or whatever, but it was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
Not every movie has to be Citizen Kane.
Not every movie should be Citizen Kane.
You can't
Sometimes a movie can just be a fun ride, and that's enough.
You can't have Citizen Kane all the time, otherwise you won't be able to appreciate Citizen Kane.
Right? But anyway, that I'm gonna get off of the soapbox that I was starting to step on.
It's okay. I already spent a lot of time on soapboxes, as I always do when I'm on this show.
But I enjoyed the movie. It sounds like both of you enjoyed the movie. I want to see the movie again, but there's a lot of movies coming up that I'm going to be seeing,
Yeah.
including our next episode. Nick is going to be sitting right beside me in the movie theater in about a week and a half, looking between his fingers that are covering his eyes as we watch Evil Dead Burn. And then we cross over with our aforementioned friends, the movie defenders.
Ooh, you're crossing the streams.
We are going to be having Scott and Brev from the movie defenders on to discuss Evil Dead Burn.
Ooh.
It's gonna be fun. I'm gonna have to take something to tie Nick's hands down to the armrests of the chair so that he has to watch the movie. I'm
You
gonna
need some. I
Clockwork Orange him in the movie theater.
was gonna say you need some duct tape.
Yes. You want to come with us? You can help tape him down.
Here, you hold one arm, I'll hold the other one.
Yes. And Nicole can keep his eyes pried open.
That would work, actually.
That,
Hey, if
that,
Nicole's
yeah.
there, we may not even need to hold down his arm. She can do all the work for us.
This
Oh,
is
wait,
true.
we're picking on Nick, and that's not a bit on this show.
Oh yeah, that's the other show.
So we'll stop that. And I will just go into my whole scripted bit here and
Yeah.
say, thanks for joining us for Casual Nerdity. If you're enjoying the show, there's lots of easy ways to support us. Leaving a hopefully good review in your podcast platform of choice helps more listeners find us. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe because we need to feed those algorithms.
The
And
algorithm hungers.
yes. And you can also support the show directly by grabbing a t-shirt from our merch store at store.casualnerdity.com. And of course, come hang out with us on social media. We're Casual Nerdity, all one word, on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Twitter, X, whatever.
Shitter.
And casualnerdity.com on Blue Sky. Until next time, hug your dog, save the day if you can, and stay nerdy. Bye.
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 This has been Casual Nerdity. We hope you've enjoyed your time with us and look forward to having you back.